Welcome to the Totally Awesome Fishing Show. This little one is going to be, well, a few tips on how to float fish, the real basics on how to set up these floats. Now it's really windy, there's a selection of floats, there's a lot of beginners out there that still aren't sure about float fishing, and the biggest problem I think they've got is that they don't plumb the depth. Now that is finding the depth from the surface of the water to the lake bed. That's what you get at first before you go any further with trying to catch a fish. Let me show you a couple of floats I've got and what a plumb bob is, and that is the item that you get from the tackle shop that sinks the float and allows you to set that depth. Then maybe, if I get time, we're going to try and catch a few roach. Now nobody hates shotting up a float properly more than I do. I can't see the lead sizes, the shot. Half the time I can't see the bloody hook, especially if it's small, if we go for stuff like roach. So I'm going to make a suggestion to you. If you're a beginner, you're a learner, a youngster, try and get, if you're going in a lake, a waggler float. That's this one here, it's a waggler float, but it's a loaded float. That means it's already loaded to set it to about that depth. And then if you want to go any lower, you can add shot, like I have just here. I've got a BB just to get it down maybe halfway. If you put too much shot on here, it's going to sink beneath the surface, you won't see the bites. So my suggestion for beginners, youngsters, anybody who's starting float fishing, if you go and get a few loaded wagglers like this, tackle shop will help you, then that should help you with the shotting because they're preloaded, predetermined, they're going to cock anyway, okay? At the end of that, I'm going to put my hook. Now you can use your main line, if you've got say 6 pound main line, that's sort of about average I guess, but what I do is I tie a loop in the end of the main line, and then I have a hook to nylon. Now you can buy these in the tackle shop as well, or you can make your own up, or you can just tie straight onto your main line. This one's a little bit lighter than my main line, which is very good for roach. You really don't want sort of 6 pound line for roach unless they're absolutely ravenous, which is rare. I've got on there a very small, about number 6 or number 8 shot, just because it's windy today and I want to try and stabilise that bait down near the bottom. I've got a small spade end hook to nylon there. Of course you can use hide hooks as well, but that's what I'm using. Let me say about size 14. So for hooks to nylon like this, I'm going to say a 3 pound hook link, 4 pound hook link to either a barbless or barbed hook, whatever the rules are in the fishery you're going to. For roach, maybe a 16 or even a 14. 18s are quite small, more for single maggots. Now then, let me turn this around, this camera, and I'll try and put this weight bob on for you so you can see what it looks like. Okay, what I do is you've got a plumb weight here with a ring at the top and some cork at the bottom. So I'm hoping you can see that there. Right, put your hook through the ring at the top like this. Bring the whole hook out and then just put it into the cork in the base. Hope you can see that, people, like that. So what's going to happen is this lead weight is going to pull your float. It's way too heavy for the float. It's going to pull it down through the water column till such time as the float gets like this. Now if it lays flat, that means that you've got to put some more depth on it. Otherwise that lead weight will pull the float right under. If it pulls under the water, then you just got to keep sliding it up. This one's attached by a sliding float rubber here. You can slide it up, slide it up, slide it up, slide it up. So it could, let's say for instance, I don't know, you're too deep. It's going to lay flat like this because the lead, this lead weight is on the bottom. So then what you do is you shorten out, shorten out, shorten out, and eventually you'll get it going like this, like this, like this, and then it will be here, let's say perfect. You can always check it by going a little bit deeper with the float down here, and if that float slides under the water, then you know you've got it set too deep. Slide the float back up like this, put it up, just slide it up until you are about there. And you can also make minor adjustments with, say, smaller shot, just to bring these self-loaded floats down a little bit farther like that. You want to allow for things like the weight of, say, sweet corn or worms are heavy, so that will pull that float down a little bit further still. And you've also got to allow for wind dragging the float. Now, if you do have a very windy condition, you can get what's called a wind beater float. The same principle applies if you want your bait on the bottom, where most of the fish are. Don't forget, if you throw ground bait in, worms in, sweet corn in, your normal hook bait stuff in, to attract them, that's all eventually going to sink to the bottom. Some will be intercepted halfway down at the top, maybe like that. Then you can always go up or down with the float until you see where the bites are. But the majority of fish will be on the bottom, eating what you've thrown in there. That's where you want your hook bait, and that's why you want to set the float at the exact depth of, well, from top to bottom, if you like, from the top of the surface to the lake bed. Now, same principle applies, but you can see this is very, very thin, very flexible there. Look at that. And it has a high visual bob on the top of the float. So you can cast quite a distance with this because it has a bulked out, I'm going to say this is balsa, I've no idea what it's made of, but normally it's balsa, a balsa body there. That means it takes a lot of shot. This is not self-loaded. You have to put the right amount of shot on. I've got a swan shot, I think I've got AA, BB, you have to mess around. That's why I say to you, a self-loaded waggler is probably the way to go. But when you move on a bit, you want to get your own float shotted, you can shot it down, and these are very, very sensitive on this thin stem. This body stabilises in any drift or any wind, and because there's a minimum resistance to the wind or drift up here, that's why they're called drift beaters, is that stabilises in the water and you can just watch this bob at the top. Okay, I've got maggots, I've got casters, I'm going to feed close in, I'm going to feed too heavily here, see if we can't get some roach on float fishing. Okay, so I'm going to be using for the roach casters here. Now if you leave them in the sun too long, they're going to go dried out and they're going to sink slower. Eventually they'll be turning into floaters. So try and keep them cool if you can. Put them in some water even, keep them in your bait box, and go for, if you can, a more medium gold colour for roach fishing. Well, I've had quite a few roach, guys. Probably about 15-20 roach. They're well on the feed now. And it doesn't seem to matter really what I'm loose feeding in there, as long as it is constant. It's just like flowing every 4 or 5 minutes. There's some going down through the water. It can be pellets, can be casters, can be it can be maggots. There we go. No, oh, I got two on at once. Oh man, that's happened before. Oh, hang on, this is a double. This is a double. Just hold this little roach here. I'm going to show you this one. I don't get completely tangled with it. How about this, guys? Does a float fishing work, or does it work? Nice roach and a baby tench. Look, I know they're not big fish. I know they're not the big fish, but it's fun fishing with a float. Trust me, once you start to get used to working that float, plumbing the depth, finding out what depth the fish are feeding at, and then feeding your hook bait over the top of it, you will get some good fish. I mean, look, 2 at a time. Well, good job I've got 3 rods. Come to think of it, I have actually. There we go. One back tench and a nice roach as well. Brilliant. Here we go again, people. Oh dear. This is a nice fish. Oh wow, got a chance swinging this one. Shouldn't be swinging these, should be netting them, but look, oh god, the other floats. Yes, there's one on the other float. Look at the size of this roach. They are not unpleasant fish to catch now, are they? And all those guys that like float fishing for roach will know I'm actually starting to enjoy myself, because I know that a bite's coming and the bigger fish are taking, and this one is now taking on the drop. Because as I cast out, that's a big bunch of maggots, why did you do that? Let's get him back. As I got one on the other rod. As I cast out, it they're nicer fish now, man alive. Look at this. I'm gonna have to drop to one rod in a minute, guys. Another roach. Now listen, guys, you youngsters out there, get yourself, I always say it, just a plastic disc gorger. You just put the slot onto the line, push down till you feel the hook, push it out, it's there. How easy was that? Fish goes back, bait's even, usable again. I'm going to get one straight away, hopefully, because I've fed this swim really pretty evenly now. I'm absolutely staggered. I'm amazed that there hasn't been a cart moving in here, because some of these casters here, get out there, are floating. The wind, the awful wind I've had all day, is just gradually starting to fade off just a tad. Northwesterly, cold, horrible. They've got the brolly up, otherwise you'd never hear it. Oh, what an angler. There's anglers and danglers in there, let's face it, folks. Beautiful. Good bit of fishing, I have to say. Straight in, straight out, same maggot. But the bigger fish tend to be coming a little bit higher in the water. Pinch of ground bait. Out we go. Voila. I just feel if I keep feeding regularly, I'm going to be going nice roach, nice roach, nice roach, boom. Mr. Carp shows up. Mr. Greedy Pig. That will probably knock the roach fishing on the head, so I better enjoy the roach fishing while I can. Missed it. Guys, if you're going for something like roach, you get a slightly better quality fish if you do use casters. You can use a single, or you can just put one around the hook shank like so. See, these are more the golden colours. You can see the different colours of casters there. And I'll just nick another one on like that. Now the downside, let's put those down. I get chuck up a few out there. The downside of casters is you have to strike that bite because they're like a shell. Okay, so these are like a shell. They get popped straight away by the fish, but they are generally recognised as getting slightly better roach. So we're going to try that out there. My worm has remained untouched after that tench. So what we're going to do is suggest to you, if you're float fishing, look at this. I'm going to measure this for you, people. You see with that float, I don't know whether you're going to see that float with this, but look, it's no more than, I am literally a rod length out from down here out to there. So you can almost go on the edge of the riverbank, lake, wherever you're fishing, and just cast out, bring it back about a rod length. That way you've got a good, I'm going to go back in the chair obviously because I can fish a bit further. That way you get far more control over the float and what you're doing. I'm watching the float on the left all the time for a bite. I'm slightly outside of my baited area, so I'm just going to do a turn of the handle just to bring it in, put it down, and I'm going to put it on the rod rest and be prepared for anything. Now you can get what's called a lift bite, where the fish brings the bait up and the float rises in the water. There we're strike. There's the bite. There's the fish. Oh my God, on camera, and it is indeed a roach. So that shows you instant striking with a caster. Even in bright conditions like this, there's fish out there. A lot of people think there's nothing to be caught, but nice roach like that on the caster. Instant strike. With maggots, I'll put some maggots on. You can afford to let them mess around, but with a caster, generally, you know, once you've had that dip or that bite, that's it. They're gone. Right, maggots, maggots, maggots. Here we got maggots now. When I go, I do both red and white maggots. I'm going to make a drastic statement here and say white maggots will get the smaller fish, and red maggots should get the slightly larger. Now I just roll that around. See, I'm just rolling it around the shank of the hook. I'm going to pull it up over that spade, completely covered, and then add one more hook through the fat end. So like that. Hopefully you can see that, guys. Fingers crossed. That one's going to go out there and see if we can't get untangled to start with, Graham. See if we can get a bite. Now what I'm also going to do, I'm going to bring that worm in. Oh, look at what I mean. This filming, look. Bare hook, guys. Okay, I can live with it. They beat me. I'm going to put some red maggots on this one. Make sure, I don't know what you're getting here. It's an extremely windy day. It's been horrible weather. It's been cold, northwesterly wind. Really puts most fish off. I've got to be honest, I haven't seen a fish caught yet, but other than my baby tench, but I dare say someone's getting them out there. So here we are, beginners. I'm going to cast this one further out. This is the drift beater float that has weight that you have to add on to it. I cast well out. I wind and sink the line, just stops it where the float is. This helps it drag out the prevents it from dragging out the swim. Okay, that's out the way. The drift beater is going to be fishing over there. Out goes my loaded waggler right next to it, just a rod length out there. I'm going to hold that rod. Now this is on maggot, so it shouldn't be too long before I get a bite on this from roach. Bite on the drift beater, bite on the drift beater. I can see it just over there on the right. There's the bite. There's the fish. There's the fish. That's on white maggots. And of course, if I didn't get that bite with a caster, if I've missed the bite, it's what we call shelled the hook, and there's nothing on the hook. With maggots, there's generally, look, I'm using the same maggot. I'm casting out again. Sink the rod up under the water, a couple of turns, and then I'm just sitting, holding that rod, looking straight at the float. Of course, I've got two floats out. I've got one as a bonus on the right, and that's got the red maggots, and I've got the white maggots on the left. As I say, my gut feeling is probably get more bites on the white maggot. Now, sometimes that float will just start drifting like this. There we go, missed that one. Just as I spoke. All right, try again. So, now look, here's my tip, guys. See that first maggot I put around the hook, didn't I? And I nicked the other one off the hook. There, the tailing one. That tailing one was the one the fish took, and this one is still on there. So had I missed that bite and not seen it, and he pulled that second maggot off, I would still have a bait around the shank of the hook. So I'll put it back into the baited area, and you can see there literally two floats. I don't really actually see the floats. I'm just out there. There's one bite. I just saw the float bump, and as I say, the float can drift sort of slightly sideways. It's still a bite. It's still a bite. Doesn't always have to go under, especially when you're fishing with the bait on the bottom. And of course, the idea is to catch roach, so you want to be feeding on the little and often. I'm going to show you. I'm going to chance it and put this one down. Here we go, guys. Look, just this, just little. Now I'm going to stand up so you can see it. Little patches around the float. That's all you want. If you're on a sort of carpy type water, and the same with the casters. Get some casters out there. I'm going to just show you. Some of these will float. Now that one down there, some are sinking and some are floaters. Because I've left them in the sun too long and they float. If you can see those there, they're very good for rudd, and obviously the carp will eventually come around and take those off the surface. Most fish will, but that just shows you if you keep them in water, most of them will sink, which is where you want them to. So I'm going to throw these out, little and often, and fingers crossed you get the roach coming in. And there he is. Oh my God, I've got the other float as well. That's clear. So there you go. Now, that is two roach. If you can see that, he's pulled the tag end maggot off, or one of the fish has, but because I threaded that round the shank like that, and up over the spade end or the eye of the hook, there's still bait there, and I could probably still catch. In fact, I'll move this drift beater out of the way for the present time. I could probably get a third fish on. Very good for roach fishing, and indeed any type of fishing. So I'm pointing straight at the float. Now that is sinking just with the weight of about a number 8 sort of dust shot I've got on there. It will take it down to the lake bed, and hopefully that's where the majority of the feeding fish are. But of course you will get fish that are feeding higher up in the water column, and then you have to shallow your float up to try and locate them. But at the moment I'm fishing with it just on the bottom about 4 or 5 inches. Don't be afraid to do this. Look, just move it. Put the one down for a second, because that dragging motion will induce a bite as well. I pulled it just on the inside of the baited swim. I'm going to give that, if I can find it. Made up some ground bait here. As you can see, I put the ground bait in the casters as well. So I can throw this in, guys, I can throw this in loose like that. Look, let me show you down here. Just barely squeeze it. It breaks up like that. Or if I want to make it last longer and make them work, I just squeeze it like this and it goes down in a ball. That will sink and it will lay like this. I'll show you. It will lay like this on the bottom, and the little fish have got to nibble away to get it. If I throw it in fairly loose like this, then they can obviously eat it really quickly. But if you squeeze it into a little bit harder ball, they're going to want to get these casters and maggots and bits of worm out. So if you leave it in a ball like that, they've absolutely got to nibble away at it. Throw it right around the float. If you're running short of maggots, once you get yourself a loaded box of these 4 and 2 mil pellets, the 2 mil pellets are quite small, you can catapult them out and you can keep them dry, they last forever, whereas maggots are obviously eventually, even if you fridge them, going to be dead in about a week or go to casters. Oopsie. So these you can throw in just like the maggots, like that, on the little and often basis around your float. The wind today is a horror story. Now if you're fishing like I am, look, 2 rod rests here, hopefully you can see those, 2 rod rests, my lines are out there, got my rods here. It's really easy at close range to get a fish hook yourself and you could lose the rod. So I always put mine in anti-reverse like this, just take the back wind off like this, that's it. This one's locked on, so if you do get a fish taking, look, boom, it could pull it in the water. This is for beginners, so you can either set the drag light or take the anti-reverse off so that the handle can go around. At least that gives you a split second to grab it like that before it gets towed in the water, because you never know. The more you feed, the more chance there is of something big coming along, like a carp. Eventually, even if you're feeding like this, you know, just feeding on a little and often basis, sooner or later, carp's going to move in there. Or indeed a big tench or a big bream. Somehow, that shows you once you get those fish on the go, you can have some great fun float fishing. Had to happen, guys, had to happen. Along comes Mr. Greedy Mud Pig Carp and sucked back a worm, half a worm, intended for a big roach. Whether I'm going to get it out remains to be seen, but I shall give it a good go. That's a common carp now. I wondered why the roach had gone off. That's what it was, the carp had moved in. There we go. Float fishing at its best. Okay people, that shows you the type of fish you can get on a max rod and a float. Waggling, can have some great fun. So I'm going to stick it out now. I think the roach fishing might be a bit tough. I might get another fish, but obviously you can get carp out on it as well. Little and often, don't feed too heavy, otherwise you will get the carp straight away. And this way is a bonus fish, but I would sooner catch the roach. That's what I've come for on a max rod. Let's get this guy back. So what I got there, guys, I got the worm on the hook, half a worm, a dendrobina, but I just tipped it with a white maggot, just to give that what we call a bit of target. In case the fish can see it, they might take it on the drop. I'll put that. It won't be long, I feel, because I've been feeding here, just like this, just a little pinch, dozen or so maggots. Out we go, around the float, while I get my drift beater one, which I can fish this drift beater further out in that ripple out there. But I'll be perfectly honest, I don't need to go out there now. I've baited in here, I've baited out there, I've not had any bites out there, but it's so strong, I feel if there's any floating casters, they're going to take the fish away from me. So I've actually concentrated where I said just a rod length out. Oh God, missed a bite there then. Guys, this is not a small roach. They tell me they go in here to over 2 pounds. They're certainly getting a good average size now. And they're taking a bunch of maggots. It had to happen, guys. It just had to happen. He hasn't stopped yet. He has not stopped. Oh, let's see if I can get myself clipped up. I'm just getting ready to go home. I was just getting ready to go home when I looked up, glanced up. I was over there messing with the big camera, looked up, float gone. See if we can stay attached to this chap, just get the other float right out the way. Stick it down the side there by the net so it tangles up. And we'll see how far we last with this chap. I certainly have bended a match rod in there. I mean, this is the way to go float fishing with a match rod. And actually, because I'm using a 13-foot match rod, so if you're out there, people want to know what to get. A 13-foot match rod is sort of the average, is the norm. You could also get a reel with some line on it. You know, as you can see, I'm too tight to go and buy a new line. Oh, here we go again. Here we go again. He's off again. He's off again. He's off again. I don't really want to go onto that backing line if I can help it. It's just a bit of topping line that I've put on there. Oh dear, he seems to want to go. Just a little tweak on the drag, wind down the line and just gently pull back. Because I have no idea how big this fish is. I can't really use a big camera because look at the wind out there, it's horrific. I've got the brolly up here, you can see I've got the brolly up, I've even got my suitcase for the camera case there, trying to keep the wind off me. It's freezing, it doesn't look it, but it is really, really cold. Constant bend with a match rod, wind down the line and just always keep ready to release quickly as a cushion when you're fighting fish on light float tackle. Don't try and horse them, it's a one-way ticket to disaster. Probably a common carp. There's that drift beater float there, you can see it. Well, I can see it, I don't know whether you guys will see it. I'll try and stand up. Let's have a look at this guy. Oh, looks like a common carp. That was on a maggot and worm combo, if we get him that far in. If we do indeed get him that far in. Oh, he's digging now. I'm going to lay over here. That's called side strain. You youngsters, you can just put a bit of side strain on a fish. That can actually pull them off balance a bit. There's the float. He's coming. Is he going to see him or not? No, not for a minute. I know from experience I'm not going to see him just yet. Not just yet. Just about to pack up because I'm so cold. Yeah, it's about a... I'm going to go on backwind as well. And you can see that float just off the rod top there. You might be able to see it, I guess. Sure, we could probably run that big camera as well. And get a double whammy on this one. You might get a double whammy, who knows? Who knows the secret of the man filming with two cameras at once? Oh, I love it. Probably get a third camera and have a disaster. Oh, come on, come on. Come on, show yourself. Give me all this trouble. Making me stay longer and longer and later and later. I'm supposed to be home for tea. That's not happening anytime soon. I know even before I get this one, even if I lose it, I'm going to have another cast. Commons do fight, I feel, harder than mirrors. What do you guys think when you're out there? What do you guys think? Do you think the mirrors fight harder or the commons? I mean, you barely see a leather carp now. I suppose a lot of guys out there don't even know what a leather carp is. Or a saddleback. I might get a shot at him. He's in. He's in. Oh, wow. Boys. That's not a small one, is it? Oh my God. What do you put a bend in that rod? Well, there we go, guys. Yet another carp. I'm totally carped out now. No chance of the roach. Nice common. Get this one back. I think I'll pack up. It's freezing cold. It doesn't look it, but it really is cold. A good session. Hope you learned a few tips there. Give that float fishing a go. Don't forget to watch the Totally Awesome Outdoor Show. And don't forget about our free download, and you as well, you should read it, of Mike's magazine, The Awesome Angler, a free download. Wow, not a bad session for a little practice, wasn't it?